Hi, I'm Kimberly Vardeman, and I'm wearing a cardigan for a cardigan convo, but today I'm also going to be wearing an apron. Today we're at the kitchen at the JT and Margaret Talkington dorm that's near the university libraries. And we've got a great setup here to make some cookies. We're going to be making the perfect chocolate chip cookies today. So I preheated the oven to 375 degrees. It's a little bit warmer than you bake cookies sometimes, but it will give it a nice brown and be a little crispy on the outside, but chewy on the inside, which is just perfect for chocolate chip cookies. So I'm mixing flour, just all-purpose flour, and some baking soda. So those will be our dry ingredients that we're gonna get started with. And then the next step is to brown some butter. So this is something that I really like about this chocolate chip cookie recipe is that you use brown butter and it gives it sort of a toffee and butterscotch flavor. So we're going to brown 10 tablespoons of butter and then stir in another 4 tablespoons that aren't brown. Yeah, so we're looking for this to melt first, and that usually takes a couple of minutes, and then after it melts it will start to brown and you'll see these little amber and then golden solids on the bottom with a little bit of foam on top, and it'll take a few minutes for it to get there. I've always enjoyed cooking and baking and making desserts, and especially I enjoy working with chocolate. And so a few years ago, back in 2011, my favorite chocolate company, Callebaut, was having a prize contest to celebrate their 100th anniversary. And the grand prize of this contest was a trip for 2 to Belgium. So I entered the contest and I created a recipe for a double chocolate raspberry tart. And I was so excited when I got a phone call a few weeks later. The woman who was calling from Callebaut said, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "Ooh, maybe I won something really good." And she said, "You're the grand prize winner. And so you will win a trip for 2 to Belgium and a year's supply of chocolate. And also you'll get to go to Chicago and take a chocolate class at the academy that they have there." And so if you're wondering how much chocolate a year's supply is, I think it's something like, it's a little over 10 pounds. And so my living room was full of big bags of chocolate and big bars of chocolate, those huge bars. And then we got to go tour the factory that's in Belgium. It's the headquarters for Callebaut. And I felt like when we walked into the chocolate factory, it smelled like the best batch of chocolate brownies that you've ever eaten. And so we got to go around and see the process of getting the cacao beans and conching and how they separate the cocoa butter from the cocoa mass, and then they add dairy and sugar back in. And anyway, it was a fantastic trip, a trip of a lifetime. I feel like it's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. It's a great memory and a lot of fun. Since I started at the libraries back in 2009, I've seen a lot of changes. There are new tools for creativity, like all of the Crossroads recording studios and the podcast studios. And then for my department, the Research, Instruction, and Outreach department, we also have the Research Hub. And that's a great service point for students to come in and meet with a librarian if they need help with finding sources for a paper or project, or if they need some assistance with search strategies that they can use for their research, how to cite sources, really anything. That's what we're here for. I mean, librarians will jump over something to help someone. We're always glad to see people come in and have questions. There's not a question that we're gonna think is silly or think that somebody should already know the answer to it. We're really glad to help and teach. want to use the brown sugar that's a family heirloom. You want it to be nice and soft. I've always enjoyed just reading cookbooks and hearing the stories behind recipes, but kind of reading and comparing different recipes. And one of the things that's really nice that I think a lot of people don't know is we have a really good ebook collection of cookbooks. And so you can search on the library website for a cookbook and be able to find some of the cookbooks that I would buy and have at home. So like, for example, one of the a cookbook that I really like is Willa Jean's. It's like a New Orleans baking book, and I've been to Willa Jean's in New Orleans when I was at a library conference. It's a good down home Southern cooking kind of restaurant, and we have that cookbook in our ebook collection. So it's been fun to find some of those at the library. Now I'm gonna give these a good 30-second stir. I think that something that a lot of people might not think about as a skill that you would use in cooking is that's actually helpful is kind of having an analytical mind and interest in statistics. I mean, it might sound unexpected, but I like to use spreadsheets when I'm comparing different recipes, and so I can like track the exact amount of different ingredients that I use and then make notes about the results. And so I think having kind of that analytical and scientific bend, it's all experimentation. I think that's good. Okay, so now we're going to let this sit for about 3 minutes and then stir it again. And so I'm gonna set a timer. I think one of the great things about being a librarian is that you get to bring a wide variety of skills to what you do, and then you get to interact with people who are coming from a wide variety of disciplines as well. And also being a librarian, and I feel like most of the librarians I know are very curious people, and so it's always fun to get to chat with them and get to know their hobbies and interests, and they usually have some pretty deep knowledge about a lot of things. So. When I was at Texas Tech doing my undergraduate degree, I had several interests, but I wasn't really sure where to go as far as choosing a major. I was trying to decide what to do next and where to go. And I had a family friend who was a librarian. And as I was talking to him and looking more into librarianship, it seemed like librarianship combined a lot of the things that I was interested in as far as like technology and web design and databases, as well as like people skills. And so because of that, I looked into getting a master's degree in library science, and then was fortunate enough to start as a reference librarian at Texas Tech after I finished my degree. I get to work with great people as colleagues, but also get to work with great people when I'm working with students. So it's a great place to be. Okay, so I'm gonna stir for 30 seconds again. And you can see how much fluffier and more hydrated it was than when we started. Okay. All right, so let's do one more time. We're gonna set a timer for 3 minutes. I mean, I love to read. I feel like it's really difficult to choose a favorite book. I read a memoir a few years ago that was called Stir, and that one actually was about a woman who used cooking as part of a healing process after a major illness. And also there's a book by Ruth Reichel. She was the editor at Gourmet. She came to Lubbock and spoke at the Texas Tech Museum a few years ago, and she has a book that's like 100 recipes that saved my life. So things were not going well, and so she just went to the kitchen to try to work through this process of having some professional struggles, and that's a really good one. This is where size matters, because if you make a larger cookie, it will be crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside, instead of if you make it a little too small, it will be just more on the crispy side without the chewy middle. So that's why a lot of times at bakeries you'll see these gigantic chocolate chip cookies. It looks like 3 or 4 servings, but so that you can have the right texture. And those only have to be in the oven for about 10 minutes, and then we'll have delicious hot out of the oven cookies. Set a timer. So this is how they turned out after 10 minutes in the oven. You don't want to let your cookies overbake. It's really important to take them out. When they look a little bit underdone, that's when they're ready to come out. And then let them sit on the cookie sheet for another 10 minutes and they'll be just right. I mean, what's better than a warm chocolate chip cookie anyway? Sometimes when you watch somebody who's been doing something for a long time, it looks really easy. And I've made this chocolate chip cookies recipe probably, 2 dozen times. I've made it so many times. And I think that that's a good analogy to the research process. Sometimes when you are watching your professor or maybe watching a librarian, click around on the website and go to the different databases and find the sources that you need for a project. It looks so easy. And so I think that it's important to remember that there are people that you can go to and ask for help. Librarians are not going to judge you or think that you should already know how to do something. We're there to help and walk with you through that process and until you're an expert too. So we hope you have a sweet semester. We'll look for you in the library. I can be found on the mezzanine floor in room M114 for individual consultations, as well as on Zoom. And then I also work down at the Research Hub, which is on the main floor, the ground floor of the University Library. So I hope to see you there.